Okay, get yourself ready for your morning practice. Rather than sitting on a lift this morning, because there's a little bit of fatigue in the general air this morning, we're going to start off in supta baddha konasana. So just lay down onto your back and then just come into supta baddha konasana. Have the feet together, have the knees apart. Just if you need be, you can put some blocks underneath your thighs. Just hold onto your lower ribs and just push your heels firmly together. So spend a few moments just listening to the sound of your breath, focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Just listen to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Fill the lungs from the bottom to the top and empty your lungs from the top to the bottom. As you inhale, observe how the chest rises upwards and outwards. When you're on the floor, perhaps that feels slightly different, but your hands on your lower ribs, you should still feel the rib cage expand. And when you exhale, the rib cage should be shrinking a little. Just listen to the sound of the breath. Listening to the sound of the in-breath and the out-breath. Focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Soften your jaw and your tongue and your throat. As you inhale, observe how your abdomen naturally accommodates the breath. As you exhale, your abdomen draws towards the spine. Draw your breath down into the abdomen. The in-breath down into the abdomen. And feel as though it's the abdomen that is controlling the breath. Allow the abdomen to expand fully. Some of us have a bit of an innate problem with feeling that the abdomen can grow large, but just allow it to expand to its fullest. So navel centric breath is the samanic breath. It helps us to tap into our energy. So breathe down into the abdomen. So it's the opposite direction to the typical breath. But if we become conscious of the breath, of the rise and the fall of the abdomen, then we can and draw the in-breath down into the abdomen. Observe perhaps how your skin begins to tingle with a little more energy. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Just hold on to that feeling and raise your arms up to the ceiling. Spread the fingers, spread the palms. Maintaining that samanic breath. Draw your consciousness into each individual finger. And then interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, don't worry about cracks and pops, and then lengthen your arms along the floor. If there's stiffness in your shoulders, then put a blanket, a folded blanket or some blocks underneath your hands. Otherwise, maintain the samanic breath. Squeeze the outer elbows in, push the palms of the hands away from the head. Spread the palms. And as you spread the palms, observe how you open around the hips. And then raise your arms. Just swap the interlock of your fingers, do the unnatural interlock so that the other index finger is on the top of the stack. Stretch your arms away, spread your fingers, spread your palms, push your heels really consciously together. And then feel that the heels control the action of the arms as you bring the arms down, maintaining that samanic breath, the navel centric breath. Feel how you begin to fill the body with energy. Take a couple of udanic breaths. Those are the ones that flush the sinuses. So breathe consciously into the face and out of the face. So the sound of the breath changes. Breathing more directly into the sinuses. It brings energy into the brain. So don't do too many, it can make you feel a little lightheaded. After 3 or 4, then go back to the samanic breath. And then release release your arms, just rest your hands on your lower ribs, just a few more samanic breaths. And then draw your knees towards each other. Have your knees together and your feet apart for a moment. Just listen to the breath. Maintaining the consciousness in the abdomen. Maybe just hold on to rest your hands on your abdomen and feel the rise and the fall. Just breathing into the abdomen. Draw your knees in toward your chest and have a little rock from top to bottom, from side to side, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then just stretch towards hold on to the feet. So hold on to the outside edge of the feet for a happy baby. Bring the feet nice and wide and just have a little rock from side to side. Pulling the feet down to the floor a little, just experimenting with where to put the feet. So it changes how if you bring the feet a little closer together, closer towards the perineum, then you move down into the lower back, massage in the lower back. If you bring the feet out to the side, then you stretch the legs a little more and you massage the center of the back. And then just very gently release and then roll onto your right side. And then stretch the top leg and then come up into a seated position. Just come into cross legs for a moment, just directly on the mat, or if you find it difficult to lift the chest when you're directly on the mat, then you can sit on a lift on a folded blanket or some blocks. Hold the knees and then lift the chest up to the ceiling. And just my glasses. Lift up into the chest. Continue to breathe into the navel. So you draw your breath in through the nose and it goes down into the abdomen. So the abdomen becomes like a bellows, pushing air into a fireplace. So the breath is probably deeper than usual. Take a good deep inhalation, and then with the exhalation we're going to turn to the right side. Maintaining that samanic breath, lifting the chest, maintaining the samanic breath, maintaining the balance of your seat bones. So if you feel like you roll over onto your right side, adjust the position of the torso so that it's in the center of the two hips, so that your hips feel evenly placed. Come back to the center. Take a samanic inhalation and then with the exhalation turn to the left. trying to draw the abdomen across. Just focusing specifically also on the out breath, drawing the abdomen towards the spine. And then come back to the center. Just have a block for the sides of your hips. So just sit with your hands on your knees and lift up into your chest. Just maintaining the gentle samanic breath. If you overdo it, you can become kind of over energized. It's just letting the breath settle. Just bringing the breath more to a gentle level. Bring your right elbow onto the block. Make sure that that elbow is directly underneath the shoulder. And then push that right elbow into the floor and then lengthen across into that left seat bone, because it wants to become light, doesn't it? So push the right elbow into the floor and push the left elbow, that left seat bone, push it away consciously from that right elbow. Turn the chest and the abdomen to face the ceiling. And then reach up and over. Keep the left seat bone pressing down as firmly as you can by really engaging with that right elbow. Just maintaining your samanic breath if you can, or if you prefer, just go to pranic breaths, filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, emptying the lungs from the top to the bottom. Looking up and underneath the armpit to clear out the sinuses. And then come back to the center. Just hold onto your knees. So if you feel that the samanic breath becomes a little overstimulating around the chest, then go back to the pranic breath, breathing from the bottom of the lungs to the top, just to let that energy settle. Reach underneath the left knee, bring the left elbow onto the block, again making sure that that block is directly underneath the shoulder. Push that elbow really firmly into the floor and then lengthen. So we've got this triangle from the elbow to the shoulder to the hip, but from the elbow down to the hip, that's the important one. Push the left elbow into the floor and really stretch that right elbow away. Lift up into the chest. Turn the abdomen and the chest to face the ceiling, and then reach up and over. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Either drawing the breath down into the navel or going back to pranic breathing. And then come back to the center. Just hold onto your knees and lift up into the chest. Perhaps you feel like there is lots of energy around the solar plexus. So just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Sit down onto your heels. So just allow, so come into virasana with the big toes together and the knees apart. Just let the legs just rest into the floor. This is a really good way of re-energizing tired legs. So press, just let the legs just sit directly on the floor for a moment. And then lift up into the chest, elevating the heart area up to the ceiling. Lift up into the heart area, drawing your shoulders down. And then walk your hands behind you so that your hands are directly underneath your shoulders. And then push your shins into the floor and turn the tailbone in. So turn the tailbone inwards so that it's almost drawing itself up towards the ceiling. Push the heels of the hands firmly into the floor and then lift from the wrists up into the elbows, up into the armpits. So you might just want to stay at this stage, or you can press the shins firmly into the floor and then turn the tailbone up a little more, lifting the seat bones up away from the floor and lift up into the heart area. Lift the abdomen to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, to the chin, and you can draw your chin as far away from the chest as you can, as long as there's no problem with your neck. Push the hands into the floor, lift from the wrists into the armpits, and then gently come back down onto the seat bones, and then sit yourself back down onto your heels. Just let the arms just rest for a moment. Just observe the energy you've released into your arms. Observe the energy that you've released into the chest and into the legs. Just let the legs stay in virasana. Just let gravity push the legs into the floor. And then just come forwards, have your hands as wide apart as your mat, spreading your fingers, spreading your palms, turn your toes under, and then lift yourself up into dog down. Activating the thighs, activating the kneecaps, lifting the fronts of the thighs up, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards, so that the backs of the thighs broaden outwards so that you can pick the seat bones up a little higher. Just breathe either into the samanic region or into the lungs. Dog down is a really good pose for different types of breathing. So maybe go back to that samanic breath. And then just come back down onto your knees, just sit back on your heels. Just observe the energy you have released through your practice so far. Just let the energy settle. Just let the legs sink into the ground. But just like a plant growing out of the earth, observe how you can gently grow upwards with the torso, giving space to distribute your energy. Just come onto all fours. We're going to go into rajakapotasana, the pigeon. So sit on all fours. Have your hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And then just take a few deep inhalations and exhalations. And then bring your right knee to make contact with the right wrist, and then bring the right foot underneath the left thigh. And then stretch that left leg back. Come up onto the fingertips. And then turn this back leg. So it probably wants to turn outwards. Try and turn it inwards so that the hips become level. Lift up into the chest. Elevate the heart area upwards, but lifting the abdomen up to the diaphragm, up to the collarbone. If there's no problem with your neck, push your chin to the ceiling. Lengthening out the abdomen. So turn that back leg inwards, draw the abdomen slightly from the left to the right. Draw the left side of the abdomen across slightly. And then bring your palms down. Just step in with that back leg and then come onto all fours. Just have a little wriggle about in the hips. Just make sure that you feel that those hips are opening up. And then bring the left knee to make contact with the left wrist. And then bring the left foot underneath the right thigh. And then stretch that right leg back. Come up onto the fingertips. Again, rotate that back leg so that the hips come level. And then lengthen from the abdomen to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, to the chin. Lifting the heart area. Breathing down into the abdomen if you can. Just turning the right side of the abdomen to the left very slightly, just so that you're really facing the front. And then bring the palms of the hands down, turn the toes under that back leg, and then just sit yourself back in onto all fours, and then bring the big toes together, sit back on your heels, and then come forward into Adho Mukha Virasana. Keeping the seat bones down on the heels if you possibly can. Resting the forehead down. If your forehead doesn't reach the floor, you can put a block there. So you can rest your head on the block. Can you maintain the samanic breath? Just observe how your energy has changed. Maybe there is more vital energy flowing around the limbs. Do some Udanic breaths, flushing into the face, just to energize the brain. Okay, bring your hands underneath your knees and then just sit back on your heels. Again, just observing your energy. So hopefully your energy feels really different. Just give me a little indication how you're feeling. Thumbs up, good. Sideways, down, good, good, good. Okay, so we're going to go into supta virasana. So supta virasana is one of those poses that sometimes, it takes a while for people to love it. So you're going to use a bolster. If you haven't got a bolster, then you're going to use lots of cushions. So maybe a bolster on its own isn't high enough for you. So you can put a couple of blocks like that. Just raise your bolster up. If you've got two bolsters, perhaps you can have them all the way up there. So it's just a way to kind of give you a little bit of extra height if you need it. So supta virasana is one of those poses that looks uncomfortable, but is actually pretty good. So you have your feet apart. Just so what you don't want is to sit on the bolster before you come down. So just sit back onto in between your heels and just make sure that you're not sitting directly on your bolster. So before we go back, you should put a blanket for your head at the end of the bolster. Okay, so have your knees together and your feet apart, just again making sure that you're not too close to the bolster, but you can always edge that away later. Have the knees together, the feet apart, and then get your thumbs right into the backs of your knees. If you've got bad knees, then you can always put a blanket into the back of the knees. So you just unfold it like this, and then put it right into the back of the knee like this, and then pull it away as you sit back down, and that gives you loads of extra space in your knees. So maybe you have to kind of just experiment with how many times you fold the blanket, but that's there if you need it. So just lift up into the chest, elevate the heart area up to the ceiling, and then gently you come back, keeping the chest lifted, and then have the blanket for underneath your head. So at first this might not necessarily feel massively comfortable, but then you've got to make some adjustments. So pick up the seat bones like we were doing in that parayankasana variation earlier on, where you're lifting the tailbone up to the ceiling. So that can intensify the feeling for the thighs, but it's a good feeling, isn't it? Lengthen the tailbone away from the sacrum. Lengthen the sacrum away from the lumbar. Draw the tailbone and the buttock flesh down towards the backs of the knees, but draw the tailbone up to the ceiling. Just soften around the abdomen, but if there's discomfort in your lumbar, then draw the abdomen towards the spine. So just, if you feel like the bolster isn't quite in the right place, just move so that it is. Try and keep your knees together. They'll want to start to fall apart. So just spend a little time just finding your comfort within the pose. So that can take a little bit of doing. So when you've found your general comfortable place, then start to draw the breath in through the nose and down into the abdomen. Allowing the abdomen to expand with the in-breath and draw down with the out-breath. Just have the hands at the sides of the body, palms facing upwards. Raise your arms up to the ceiling, interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then lengthen your arms along the floor. So the sequence of poses that we have done so far are all about bringing energy and light into the muscles. So if supta virasana isn't comfortable enough for you, then just go into supta baddha with the bolster underneath you. But stay if you can. Raise your arms up, swap the interlock of your fingers, and then turn the palms all the way out. So that you swap the interlock of the fingers so that the opposite index finger is on the top of the stack. And then release your arms. Just bring your arms back to the sides of the body for a moment. Just take a few breaths. And then push your elbows into the floor. To come out of the pose, try not to push your head forward, just strain your neck. Try and come up with the chest first. So come onto your elbows, push yourself up, and then just come onto your knees. Just come onto your knees, just sit on your knees for a moment, and then on all fours, just turn your toes under, and then just gently come up into dog down. Just breathe even deep inhalations and exhalations, just stretching out the back. Although we tend to avoid bringing the heels down after supta virasana, it feels good to just bring the heels down. So just let the body recover. Just feel where needs some attention and draw your attention into that area. Draw your breath into that area. Stretch out the discomfort. And then come down onto your knees. So move the bolster out of the way and then come into cross legs. Just sitting in cross legs. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest. And then just gently turn to the right side. Stretching out the back, stretching out the hips, and then come back to the center and then turn to the left. And then come back to the center. Are you both okay with running over slightly? Yeah, okay. Because there's one other pose I wanted to do beforehand, which is again really, it's good for sciatica. So this would be good to do. So it's supta rajakapotasana. So swastikasana. So come down onto your back and bring the feet close to the seat bones. It's a really nice pose as well, isn't it? It will help to kind of ease any tension in your lower back from supta virasana as well. So come down onto your back, just bring your feet close to the seat bones, and just spend a few moments just grounding yourself. So you can draw the breath into the abdomen, or you can breathe into the lungs. Just drawing the breath into the abdomen just helps to ground your energy a little. And then draw your right knee in towards your chest. Just grip around, hold around the front of the knee, pull it into the chest. Keep the left foot where it is. Just pulling that right knee in towards the chest. Flexing the right heel. And then just soften the hold, but keep the knee there. And then push the left heel into the floor and slide, and slide it away across the mat. Oh, my mat's a bit slippery. And then keep sliding it away until the leg becomes straight. And then pull the right knee back into the chest. Flexing both heels. And then just coming back to the center, pulling both feet in towards the seat bones. And then pull your left knee in towards the chest with the right foot as it is. Just pulling that knee in towards the chest. And then just lighten that hold a little, and then slide the right foot along the floor until it becomes straight. Straightening that leg like you're doing tadasana, and then pull the left knee back in towards the chest. And then release, and then bring both feet back to the seat bones. So bending the knees and bringing both feet back to the seat bones. So this time you're going to bring your right knee in and then cross the right foot across the top of the left thigh. Just hold on to that right foot with the left hand and then lengthen the right knee away from the body. So just consciously lengthen that knee away from the body, keeping the abdomen open. And then gently release. Just let that leg, that right knee just become soft. And then this time you're going to reach around the back of the left knee and then draw that left knee in towards the chest. Just keep breathing, samanic breathing if you can. So if you brought your foot all the way into the heel, all the way into the inner pelvic bone, then perhaps just release, bring the foot up a little, reach underneath the leg, and then pull it in towards the chest, just to really stretch out that sciatic nerve. And then gently release. Just bring the feet back down onto the floor. And then bring the left knee towards the chest and bring that left foot across the top of the right thigh. Just hold onto that left foot with the right hand for a moment, and then just consciously push that left knee away from the body. And then gently release. And then bring your hands on right around the back of the right knee, and then draw that right knee in towards the chest with the left foot where it was. Drawing it in towards the chest. And again, if you brought your foot, the heel of that left foot into the inner pelvic bone, then just bring it up a little, just reach underneath that leg, and then just bring the foot back just to really stretch out that sciatic nerve. Okay, and then gently release, and then just stretch your legs along the floor for a moment. Just rest into the floor for a moment or two. And then just take some deep inhalations and deep exhalations. And then just roll onto your side, sit yourself up, get a bolster, and put the bolster on top of your legs. And then you can have a blanket for your head. So make sure you're in a really good straight line as you come down onto the floor. If you're wearing glasses, just take them off, just to let your face relax. And then just allow yourself to release into the floor, palms facing upwards, resting your hands on the middle knuckle. Tip of the index finger in contact with the tip of the thumb, just to maintain your energy. So draw your breath in through your nose and down into the abdomen. Conscious of the energy that you released through your practice. And then go to just normal pranic breaths, breathing from the bottom of the lungs to the top. Just allow the body to release into the floor. Allow the body to become heavy. And then observe that feeling of energetic lightness radiating out from the bones. Radiating into the muscles. And into the organs. Into the flesh and the skin. Draw your in-breath down into your toes. And release into the floor with the exhalation. Draw your in-breath into the tips of the fingers. And then release into the floor with the exhalation. And then draw your in-breath into the top of the head. Relaxing into the floor with the exhalation. Basking in that feeling of energetic lightness. And then when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, and then just move the bolster off the thighs and then just draw your knees in toward your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just bringing yourself back into the room, back into the body. And then gently roll over onto your right side. Just stay down on your right side for a moment, a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just a final cross legs with lifting up of the chest. Bring your hands into Namaste. Draw your breath in through your nose and out through your nose, down into the abdomen. Just be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy. The extensions, the forward bends, the twists, the reclining poses bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you have created inside. And then and send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. Just bring the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb, stretching the other fingers away from the palms, just a gesture of peacefulness and wisdom that we can carry into our day. And then raise your head and allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. So, thank you very much. Hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your energy. You've given yourself lots of good energy. You've kind of wrung the body out of tiredness. Thank you for joining me.